Yo, what's up, guys? It's Parnellyx, and we're back playing AP Warwick in the jungle. We've been on the grinds. We've been on the grind a bit. So since I watched that VOD last week of the Korean AP Warwick player, which, by the way, some people told me he was Chinese playing on the Korean server. Got that. I didn't really know. All that matters is he's smurfing with AP Warwick on the Korean server, and that's awesome. I actually checked recently. He's like 400 LP. That's hype. But I've been loving it myself. This build is really fun. I mean, it's not like the most fun build I've ever had. It's still like the zombie build, but this is as close to the zombie build as you'll get in terms of really just playstyle. The playstyle feels very similar, and because you're playing a basically like a squishy assassin that is able to go really deep in the fights with the artificial tankiness item. This season it's being Zonia's. Last season it was GA with your warrior. So this build is pretty good. It's honestly pretty good, and it scales pretty fine. It doesn't have as big of a mid-game power spike as the zombie build last season. That's why it's not as good, but it's still pretty good. I'd say it's probably a top 3 build for Warwick. It's just not the best. So if you want to run this build and you find it fun, definitely give it a try, especially if you're playing versus squishier team comps, because this build's really fun and it's actually like surprisingly effective. I have like a 70% win rate. Well, my first like 40 games of AP Warwick I've been playing, I had like a 70% win rate. I'm coming down here for this little roam here though. We saw that Lilia went for the gank. I know she's going to come out for the crab, so I'm in no rush. I'm just gonna sit in the bush and wait for her. And then I accidentally Q-fall. This was a complete accident. I didn't want to do that, and I have to burn my flash as a result. But yeah, like my first like 40 games spamming this build, I had like a 70% win rate. I climbed from Diamond 2, like 0 LP, to a Master Tier 100 LP. So it is legit. My recent win rate on it, I don't want to talk about it. It's been a little bit rough, but it's probably because I've been a little bit burnt out on it, and I'm wanting to play more mid lane. So there's going to be more mid lane videos coming. But yeah, this... and then we're looking for this Kindred here. Did we even get him? Yes, the Zed comes in. Lily is here to respond, but because I have all these minions, I'm able to lifesteal pretty well. And I actually want to keep her here in the mid lane because I know that she hasn't taken this top scuttle. So I want to walk up to the top scuttle and tempt her with this big minion wave that she needs to collect. But she manages to clear some of it, and then she rotates for the scuttle crab. So I try to bush camp again. She actually places down a ward, which is smart. And I see that Malphite's rotating down, so I just have to bail. But Lily actually does something really smart here. She actually contests my raptors. She knows I can't fight back. Zed has to recall, and our Malphite's right behind her. So what do? I force it. Malphite flashes in, I force it, and I try to manage to get away. I think it's kind of still BS that I didn't manage to get away, but I should have just backed off the raptors 100% there. It's not worth it. It's one camp, and she has the advantage. Our team was up 3-0. We just had to just chill. We were perfectly fine. The game's not going to end because I lost my raptor camp. This mid lane Kindred comes down for the roam bot lane. Our Ezreal dies doing this stupid stuff, but Fiora comes in with a nice TP, which is huge. Now this does mean that, well, you know, we have no one to cover top lane, but because they're so low, you know, we're trying to force this. And guys, by the way, another thing I need to mention, I need to bring up. If you are, I think some of you guys are unaware, but some of you have not read the patch notes. Some of you have not read the patch notes in great detail from the patch that just came out. And I'm not talking about blatant Warwick buffs or anything that just showed up. There's no Warwick section, but there was a bug fixes section, okay? And one of those bug fixes, one of those beautiful bug fixes finally came around after 5 full, long years of Warwick's rework release. The bug fix was Warwick's W no longer detects enemies in the way and gets blocked by it. So what does that mean? So some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you have been around and have heard me complain about this a ton. But this is the bug essentially was like this. If you're trying to move from mid lane to bot lane, and say Rakan's that low, he's bot. Let's say imagine Rakan's bot lane, and I'm trying to run from here to bot lane, but his misfortune's full health and somewhere in the way, I won't get that movement speed bonus towards the Rakan because my Bloodtrail is being body blocked by the enemies, and it's not forgiving at all. It's like very hard to be able to get that W movement speed buff. So basically, every single game you play Warwick, you guys have noticed this if you've played Warwick, especially in the jungle, your W movement speed only works like half the time, and that's like pretty generous. But they fixed it. They fixed the bug. You'll notice this game, you'll see in this gameplay, anytime someone's low, if I'm moving towards them, I am running fast. Always. Every single time. And it's awesome. We love it. I can't express how happy I was when I saw that, because it came to such a shock to me that day. I hardly had any sleep. This Lily is coming in for this another invade like this. Lily is a really hard matchup. Well, she's not the hardest, but because of the fact that she moves so fast, it's difficult to stick onto her and really take on like a fight and get kills. Because of the fact that she moves so fast, she can just poke you down and kite out your auto attacks and just run away if she gets scared. Yeah, back to Warwick's W, like his Bloodtrail actually functions. And this isn't just a quality of life change. This is a huge buff. I think this is the biggest buff to Warwick since his rework 5 years ago. And I'm not joking. This is Warwick's biggest buff he has ever received in rework form. You know, there was patch 4.20 if you remember that. But this buff is insane. I saw his win rate. His win rate went up over like 2%. I think the buff actually is better than a 2% buff, but I did kind of predict that that's how it would work out. Because there's actually so many things you can do with the fact that your W is more consistent. I'm going to try to experiment with it, but you can actually like activate your W to like move around the map quicker, as opposed to just saving your W for ganks and stuff. And the fact that you're always moving around fast, reliably around the map is just crazy. It really does mean so much. Not only does it mean that you can make it to fights faster, but it also means that you can just simply get from camp to camp faster sometimes if you have a Bloodtrail out. So it's crazy. This bot lane situation was absolutely wild. Like, we're in like a 4v4, and I'm trying to bait out this Malphite ult myself. Kind of surprised he didn't pull the trigger here. I think he could have tried to go for me and Fiora, but I wanted him to ult me, and I wanted to Q it, and then, you know, maybe try to turn. But this situation right here is really sketchy, because they're coming up to this turret. There's a bunch of plates up. I don't know what is going on. So we have Ezreal versus Kindred top lane. And we're trying to defend this turret. Zed went mid, so we don't have anyone to defend it. We don't have wave clear. Zed should have stayed around because of the fact that we don't have wave clear. And I kited this out like a beast, but we have no damage. So normally, like, if I baited the fight like that, it would be genius, but it was not. I ended up getting a kill, but it's a 3-for-1 overall. We should have just backed off the turret and gave him plates. But I think Zed should have stuck around, because he's getting plates mid lane. We don't have the wave clear to defend against bot. And if they're 4v0ing the turret, they're going to kill the turret a lot faster than Zed can kill the turret. So he definitely should have stayed around. But even if Zed should have stayed around, we shouldn't be defending that. We should have just backed off completely. But yeah, you can see the icon on the minimap. Look at me, man. I'm sprinting. Well, usually in this situation, you'd be able to run fast. But it's just the fact that your W works consistently is insane. And I think it actually could potentially lead to Warwick nerfs. We'll see what happens to his win rate. I don't think Warwick's going to nerf him unless his win rate goes past like 53.5%. And I think Warwick's been kind of mediocre all season, so I don't know if it'll get to that point. But this buff is huge. It's huge for the jungle. It's huge for the mid lane. It's huge for everything. It's insane. This team comp's also pretty hard for me to deal with. Like Lilia, Malphite, Rakan, those type of champions are so impossible for Warwick to deal with. Well, Rakan's actually okay, but Malphite and Lilia, I can't actually stick on to any of them. Because of the fact they slow me down, they slow my attack speed, they move so fast. I get kited way too hard in this game, and they're also pretty tanky, so I can't like one-shot them or anything with this build. I tried to overforce this play right here, like 100%. This dragon, well, okay, so my team should have came for the dragon, but this is another scenario where if my teammates aren't following or aren't cooperating, I just need to just suck it up and back out. I really wanted the dragon because we had a huge dragon opportunity there. Lily was top lane, but I needed to back out. We're building towards our Nashor's Tooth. like we talked about with the build. Nashor's, Zonia's mandatory. Nashor's, Zonia's every single game. We got to go back to our jungle. We see Lilia. Well, actually, we see Lilia top. So because Lilia is top lane, and we just killed 2 people, I know that I can actually go and contest these camps. I see Red's up, Raptors are up. But I go to clear out this ward, and I probably should have went around for the red buff. I'm not going to lie. This is a kind of mistake by showing myself where I am. I know that they could collapse on me here, and I might just have to just sacrifice all the camps. But for some reason, they just kind of ignore me, I guess, which I'm okay with. So I'm coming around for this flank position. But I can't rush it because I don't have teammates here. So I'm just kind of hovering. I'm trying to like keep them here before I go in for the fight. And I do manage to try to make a play on the Kindred, and then it was just a disaster. That play was pretty horrible. Oh yeah, the Rift Herald. I got the drive-by smite on the Rift Herald. That came out of nowhere. I was actually going to smite for health, and I ended up killing the Rift Herald. Fiora comes in and suicides. I don't know what the heck just happened. Why did they not finish off the Rift Herald? That was going to reset if I didn't smite it anyways. That was a tragedy for the enemy team. And it's worth it for Fiora to die, I think, because she's a split pusher with Rift Herald. She's kind of behind, so it's kind of rough there, but that was awesome, man. We recall. We grab our Nashor's tooth. And we're moving towards our bot side jungle. We're kind of in a bit of a pickle here. This is another situation where I want to get my camps, and they're pretty low, but we don't have anyone here to, you know, actually help out. So I walk up, eat a Malphite Q. But I'm waiting for Fiora to show up. I'm not trying to rush it. And they are playing. They're a little bit on the retreat, so I know that I can actually grab this blue buff. And I'm not looking to fight, but Fiora, you know, does spot them. Luckily she's pretty safe. Yeah, this scenario is kind of weird though, because Zed's top lane with the Lilia. We just chase them into their bot side of the map, and then I come around look for the counter jungle, and I see MF. I get a free pick. You can see the damage that this build does. With just Nashor's Tooth, I just one-shot the MF with a full combo. But I'm just on these Krugs, and Ezreal's shoving mid, and I think this was the weird situation. This entire game was really odd. Like, you saw like the lane assignments all game. Like, Ezreal was top lane and Fiora was bot lane like half the game. And I'm just kind of just hovering to try to cancel the recalls. My Ezreal and Fiora have the ability to shove in mid. And so I know that I can just hover around to try to bait them into canceling the recall. And if 2 of them recall if 2 of them recall, I'd be able to actually try to go for a kill on the guy who didn't recall. So that's pretty nice. Managed to stall them out and annoy them quite a bit. I see this Lilia's running away, but I have flash, so I just flash auto Q, pick up the free kill. She's like the most fed member of the team, so we have to like go for that. And that's the Bloodtrail, baby. That's exactly what we're looking for. Malzahar comes over here, pokes me down, but I know that there's no wards there because I just had the sweeper, so I know I can kind of bait and go back. And I'm looking for it. I know that Rakan might be nearby, but he's not. I need my ultimate to really go for the kill, so I decided to just recall, I think, here. We're gonna pick up probably boots here. Boots, and then yeah, Phoenix Codex for the CDR. Lots of CDR here with the dragon fight coming up is pretty nice. It's also nice to go for the stopwatch. It's never really a bad idea to grab the stopwatch, but I think I want the CDR, and I just want the extra damage as well right now with the Phoenix Codex. I think I'm like too far behind to want to go the stopwatch. I think we're gonna lack damage if we do. So I just start this dragon because of the fact we have positioning here. It's another free dragon. That again, we're focusing the dragons. Focus the dragons when you can in solo queue. They're just so strong. Dragons are like good in like every elo. I think they're better the lower the elo, but they're good at all ranks, honestly. They just give you that's like, if you have like 2 or 3 dragons, your team feels much more content. They don't feel the need to force plays, and everyone feels more on the same page. So that's the thing about dragons. It's like it's a win condition that everyone can collectively easily play towards. I actually get caught out here, and I'm surprised I got bursted so hard. Like, my mistake there was not using my E when the Rakan ultimate was coming in. But I thought I was going to be able to fear them away and then just ult out. But damn, their damage was huge. Now, luckily, Rakan got the shutdown, so it's really no big deal at all. But I still could have played it better technically. It just worked out fine, so we'll take it. This game, by the way, is just... This game was absolutely nuts. So even this game, honestly, like by me, and it's not too exciting. Like I said, I get countered by the enemy team. They have Malphite, they have Kindred ult. Like they have so many tools to just counter me and prevent me from being able to pop off in fights. It's disgusting. This game should have been a dodge by me, to be completely honest. Because I cannot carry versus this team comp. Use my Q with the Q dash there through the minion. Ult the Lilia to secure the kill so they have no damage. Then we get the double. Kind of huge. But this game was just a fun one. There's a lot of things to talk about. First, the early game was wild. This game was just wild across the board. But as the game goes on, it just gets more and more crazy and more crazy. So even though I don't really pop off this game and do anything too spectacular, I mean, I do at least show off the AP Warwick. I do get a good this is a good game for the Divine Sunder Mythic, which I haven't shown before. And it's just a fun one. It's a fun, entertaining one. Another thing actually I want to mention is I don't know if any of you guys are like bothered by the Porofessor app thing at the top. Let me know in the comments if you are or if you like it. It's a pretty nice app tool. It did take me a couple times to get used to it though, so I can understand if it's a little annoying. I kind of forgot to close it this time around, but you guys can let me know, if it's a problem. We just want to clear our camp still right now. Try to get our Zonias. We needed like 1265 or something for our Zonias, and we're just a little bit short. So I have to run towards mid lane and just make sure that they don't start the Baron. So we're gonna go ahead and just shove mid lane together as a team. I'll give the cannon over to the Ezreal to make him feel good about himself. I just needed one minion and then just to recall for the Zonias, and we can grab that. Probably get a pink ward as well. And we just want to group up. Right, this is our power spike with AP Warwick. The power spike is with the Zonias, because now your damage is high, and you're not going to get one. Well, you can still get one shot, but if you manage to use your Zonias, you can just bait really, really hard. If you go deep, you play like an assassin. You're like a Fizz almost. You're like a Fizz. You can go super deep in these fights, get a one shot, and then Zonias, and then you can just hopefully walk out or something. It's a little bit harder against this team comp, like I said. Not really many people I can one-shot. But, regardless, that's kind of the play style. And this is a great call from the Fiora. A great Baron call. They sent 4 people bot lane, and they had the Scuttle Crab vision, but that gives them a false sense of security. For some reason, we kind of give away that. I don't know why Janna walks up and Ezreal walks up and reveals themselves that we're on the Baron. But it's fine. They're too late anyways, so we are able to make it out. Yeah, it's really hard to get your team to agree with going for those type of plays if you're like in lower elo. They're very risky, but if you're playing in Diamond Plus, people will usually go for those plays. Especially if you're like in like Grandmaster Challenger every single time. If 4 people show bot lane at 20 minutes, the other team's getting the Baron. 100% of the time, or most of the time. I don't want to say 100%, but most of the time it's going to happen because it's just a free Baron, and Baron's like the most crucial objective in the game until Elder spawns at least. So we have the dragon. We just got our Baron. We have the dragon fight coming up, and like I said, I want to build towards the Divine Sunder, so I get the Kennel Gem portion of it. Which Kennel Gem also goes towards Everfrost. So if you can't decide between the two, you can just go for the Kennel Gem first and then just decide later on. But we want to group for this dragon while we have the advantage. I mean, the enemy team comp is... Do we scale or outscale? I think we definitely get outscaled overall. Just because of the fact that we're very AD heavy. I won't be able to strike through the Malphite. And again, our team comp just doesn't handle their team comp very well. So we want to fight them when we have the advantage here. But I mean, this is what I'm talking about though. Like it's not even just the fact that they have the Malphite and the Lilia. Like with the Rakan, he's giving me so many shields to them, so much shields and CC towards the MF that I just can't kill her. Even though I'm like I said, I'm kind of like an assassin. It's difficult. So I'm not gonna be able to 1v9 this game. I need my teammates to be effective. But this was a really smart play by me. I came around the corner, suspecting, knowing that my teammates were going to, you know, push in on the MF there, and I had a feeling that MF was going to turn an ult. Because she had her ultimate up and she was going to look for, you know, a big play or maybe some wave clear. So I managed to kind of predict that and come around with the flank position. That's how you want to play Warwick in general. You want to go around with the flank so that you're not getting kited. If you're running straight at them, you're going to get kited. You don't have the movement speed. But if you have that flank position, you're able to get behind them, get to the side, then it's a really easy kill. This was a disaster though. Zed's going in for the Lilia. I understand it completely. I go in myself for the Kindred. Burn her ultimate. And we're just trying to get out of here. We're trying to get out of here, but this is the W. This is the W right here. We get the movement speed. We're moving towards the Lilia. And we get Malphite ulted. That was very unfortunate. But you see the potential, man. You see the potential. You see the potential of the W. I was able to use, even though Malphite was in the way, I still got the enhanced movement speed towards Lilia, and was able to use that as an escape. And that's also I want to experiment with like the angles of like clicking around terrain to get movement speed towards enemies you're not even running towards. It's really complicated when I explain it, but you guys will understand once I have this figured out. Like you can be running away from someone who's low in health, and if you click at the right angle around terrain, you can actually get the movement speed bonus sometimes. And that's like absolutely huge with the consistency buff of the bug fix. Well, I just come back from base. I'm moving towards my red buff, but we like almost aced them. And there's no objectives up for us to take, but we could potentially go for an end. We're not able to go for the end because they do have like 10 seconds up, I guess, but we can at least look for like the third inhib. So I snag the red because it's a buff, so we might as well take the buff while we're on the way. And then I'm moving up here towards the blue, but our Ezreal is not there and our Zed's low, so I'm not going to just move up with them. I'm just going to go ahead and just take the camps because we're not in a position to actually, yeah, we're not taking any objectives here. I think the potential was there for us to take an objective, but Ezreal recalled and Zed got low somehow, so we just couldn't. So we have to back out, and we're just gonna farm. I'm trying to farm for my Divine Sunder. I don't know how much gold I need for the Divine. Actually, I think I'm good now. I think I needed 1200, so I should be able to recall. And we just want to play for this next objective, really. Our team's typing to group with each other, which we definitely should do. Yeah. Okay, we got the Divine. We got our pink ward. So our Qs are just chunking right now. Our Qs are chunking, and we're not too squishy. We're still squishy, so you know, don't get me wrong, but we're not too squishy. So it's not going to be at the end of the world. And yeah, Zed's coming down here on this play. Oh yeah, and this play went kind of bad. I greeted for the Lilia here, really bad, and I didn't manage to save the Kindred. It traded a 1-for-1, but I could have saved the Kindred, or I could have saved the Zed. And I just missed my ultimate. I ulted too soon. And then I kind of overchased here. Luckily, we managed to like kind of live, but it was at this point I'm way overchasing. There's no reason for me to be here. But I needed to be more patient with the ultimates. Wait, does Kindred have 14 deaths? Is that what I saw? Holy moly. She's kind of feeding. She's doing what I normally do in half my games. But this situation, this next scenario is just really weird. So we have the soul coming up. The soul is really all we need. But I kind of go a little ham here, thinking that I'm safe and I can just, you know, kite them out. But Fjord dives back in, and I fail to use my Zonias. I get knocked up by the Malphite ult and the Rakan ult, so I can't get my Zonias off anyways. Janna comes in to save the day. Gets butt blasted. For some reason, Zed goes in, and this is the solo queue disaster. If they just let me die or we just let Fiora die, we would have been fine. But everyone's trying to save everyone. And this, we have super minions in the base. Super minions attacking this turret. Ezreal's looking for the back door. Because they're pushing for the end here. But then you see his Malphite's there, and he knows he can't go for the end. So he has to recall. I'm coming up. There's like 10 seconds up on me. But there's like 30 seconds up on Zed. So this entire situation is absolutely insane. They are pushing for the end. They have 4 people here, and they can absolutely go for the end here. I'm coming up, but I don't have enough damage. And Malphite TP's in. So I just try to just do as much CC as possible. I bought a second stopwatch to try to use both. I try to Q stopwatch, and I fail. So I didn't manage to get my second stopwatch off. And it's a complete disaster. As Ezreal's coming in, he's trying to deal some damage. And there's 3 up. Zed's up. Gets 1. MF dies to the minions, dude. She dies to the minions. Zed manages to save the game. He completely saves the game with the surrender vote thrown up. And this is why you never press FF while they're at your base. Just watch them in. Watch them in. It's gonna save you what, 5 seconds? Doesn't really matter. Somehow we managed to get this. We managed to save this, and very quickly we realize we can actually end now. We can end. Fiora has TP coming up. And only Rakan is up. So Zed has to make it over here. But Fiora will be in the base. Zed will be in the base by the time anyone else respawns. So they can actually go for this inhib. And that's what happens here is they're trying to kill this. They're trying to kill this. They try to like CC the Zed. He fails his W horrendously. And Kindred ults for the Fiora somehow. Which I don't think it would have mattered. I think Fiora still would have gotten that. That's GG. That is how that game ends. So wild game, more AP Warwick. There's gonna be more games to come here, but that was an interesting one, to say the least.